Right, so today I thought we would have a go at making a card similar to this. It's quite a painterly effect, but it's quite easy to do. I'll be using the foam stamps that I made myself. So if you want to know how to make those, if you go to the previous video, it shows you how to make them. So I've got my foam stamps. This is the holly leaf and the holly berry. I've got two Distress Oxide ink pads, Lucky Clover and Candied Apple. Nice Christmassy colours. You can use any of the greens from the Distress Oxides. I've got an archival ink pad which we'll use. I've got a couple of makeup brushes which I use for the Distress Oxides because it's a very gentle way of applying the ink. Mini mister, a gold gel pen, this is a very cheap one, and then a black fine liner. Now the important thing about this is it needs to be non-permanent, so something let's see, not like a micron because they are permanent. You need something that moves when water is added. An easy way of finding out is just get a piece of scrap card, do a little bit of a wiggly line, spray it, and you'll see that the ink moves. So that's the sort of thing that you want. So we've got our piece of, this is actually, I'll show you what this is, it's cartridge paper. So it's a very cheap book. It's an A4 sketch pad, which is white cartridge paper, and it was only £1 from a shop that we have in Britain, The Works. The brand is Crawford and Black, which I think is actually one of their brands. It's spiral bound, and so I've just taken a sheet out of there, cut the perforations off and made it to the size that I want for my card blank. So I'm going to mount it on either black or red card like this to go on my card blank. So very easy. What we're going to do is get our foam stamp, get a nice lot of ink on it, stamp onto our cartridge paper, that leaves a nice impression. Again, stamp it again so that it makes a nice grouping of holly leaves. Put that aside for now. I'll just pop that up there because I will need that later. I've got the Candied Apple now. Nice lot of ink again on our berry stamp. And I'll put 3 berries, I think. Put that aside for the moment again. I'll pop those up there. I've got our black fine liner, and I'm just going to fill in the details, the veining on the leaves, and where my leaves overlap here, I usually fill that in first so I don't get confused as to which line I want to use. So I go around the outside of the leaves as well. Doesn't matter if you're not absolutely perfect to the edge of where your ink is, because going to add water, so this will all move. So again, we're going round the edge of the leaves. Where my berries overlap my leaf, I don't go to the point of my leaf. I'll do this as quickly as possible and we can move on to the next stage. Just be careful when you're going round that you don't get your side of the hand onto the Distress Oxides on the green, because it will transfer onto other bits of your paper. So we'll go 1, 2, 3 berries. I like to put just a little accent on the berries, just a curved line. And then we're going to go up the centre of the leaf again for the veins. Nearly done. There we are. And all that is now outlined. You could leave it like that. I do actually like to add the water and make the ink move, because it's a lot more interesting and artistic looking. I'm just going to have a couple of little bits and very tiny bits of low tack masking tape just across the corners, just to hold it down, because when the cartridge paper gets wet it wants to curl up, so I just try and keep it in place. I don't add a lot because this does stick to the cartridge paper and sometimes brings the top off. I'm now going to add the water. So I've got my mini mister and I'm going to start by quite a long way away and go down onto it. The thing to do is to basically get the water on as quickly as you can and as evenly as you can, so that you don't have to go back again, because then that adds sometimes too much water. So I'll just spray it to make sure it's working. So we're going to go evenly and onto the white areas as well. I think I need a little bit more on that side. As I say, it is a completely random effect that you get. You never know what you're going to get, how much it's going to spread. As you can see, the red here is travelling quite a bit, and you can see how the paper has decided to buckle up. So I just tap it occasionally with something that's not going to leave a mark, so that it will flatten it and hopefully help it to move a bit more. If you get too much water in certain areas and you want to pick a bit up to stop it from just flooding the area, what you can do is get a little cotton bud and just place it just on the amount of moisture, and you can see it just takes it up, just draws it away. So if there's areas and you think that's way too dark, dab it with a little bit of your end of the cotton bud, and it will soak a bit of the moisture up and take it away. I'm quite happy with that. I wish it had moved a little bit more there, but it's the look of the draw. Sometimes it moves more than others. I do like to then dry it because it sometimes moves it a little bit more. starting to dry. Just lift it up a little bit. I'll just get that bit just a bit drier. I'm just going to take that little bit of moisture up there. As I say, it is the look of the drawer as to what you get. Just take the corners off. The masking tape. You're always getting condensation on your glass mat underneath, so I'll just wipe that up again. I'll lift it up and dry it a bit more. About dry. You do need it to be dry before you do the next step. That little bit was just a bit wet still. Yes, that's fine now. Does wrinkle a little bit, but don't worry about that because it will. You can always flatten it under a book. And when you attach it to your card blank, it will flatten anyway. So it looks quite pretty, but it's a bit blurry. So I now like to go back with a black fine liner again and put my black lines in again. If you wanted the really painterly effect, you could leave it as it is, but I just like a little bit of definition, just to so you can see basically what it is. I find it easiest to turn my paper around as I'm drawing the veins and everything in. Some of the black you can see has feathered out, some hasn't. It's very, very random. And then I'll go around my leaves. I think once you've got the black lines put in again, it actually makes the feathering stand out a bit more. It didn't look as if it had much feathering, but now the black lines are in, you can see it's actually got quite a bit. I could have done with a bit more round there, but hey ho, it's just random what you get. This is the gold gel pen, which is just a nice cheap one, but they're very pretty. And I'm just going inside the black line just to give it a little bit of bling. And it just adds to it. I don't know if you can see if the light will catch it, but it just adds to it a little bit, makes it a little bit more Christmassy. So wherever there's a black line, I just go inside slightly. So around the edges of the leaves. I've already done the berries. I'll do the veining, so I'll go up the centre and then just underneath the side veins. I did think a poinsettia would be rather nice done like this. Nearly done. Two more lines and then we're finished. Now I've just spotted that I didn't put my black line in there. That's it. Now this is where our makeup brushes and inks come in again. I do like to add a bit of, I'll find my sponge, black ink to the edges. So I've just got a makeup sponge and I'm just going to go around the edges very roughly, and I don't mind if I get little wispy bits that come in, because that just adds to the effect, the painterly effect. A bit more at the corners. What's that? I do want a word on here, so I've got this stamp, which was just free with the magazine, and it just says Noel. Now I've got quite a lot of red there and none there, so I could either balance it up by putting the Noel there or incorporate it by putting it there. I think I'm going to go for here. Yeah. So I just need it straight. There we are. A black ink away. And because I've got quite a lot of gold on here, I do like to outline this with a little bit of the same gold pen as well. Just makes it look as if it belongs. Just going around the outside of all the letters, all the way around. You could do a shadow effect and just go at one side, but I go all the way around. So. There we are. And then this is when our two ink pads and brushes come in. So I just pick a little bit of ink up on my makeup brush, and because this is, the outside is quite white still and plain, let's turn it round. I just bring a little bit of colour here and there to the sides with my makeup brush. Just takes the whiteness off. I do the same again with the green. If you're doing red and green, just be careful not to overlap too much, because if you mix red and green, even though they are oxides, you might just get a brown look to them. Just go back until you're happy with how it looks. There we are. So I'll pop those out of the way. Wipe my ink off, and there we are. If I pop that onto a black base, you can see that's quite a pretty card. So I hope you like that, and I hope you give it a go.